Good evening. I'd like to invite us to reflect on Psalm 100, the psalm appointed for the feast of Christ the King. Be joyful in the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness and come before his presence with a song. Know this, the Lord himself is God. He himself has made us and we are his. We are his people and sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Go into his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and call upon his name. For the Lord is good. His mercy is everlasting, and his faithfulness endures from age to age. In Psalm 100, the psalmist issues a summons and offers reasons for Israel's and our worship of the Shepherd King on the feast of Christ the King. The psalmist uses three verb phrases that are exciting summons to Israel and us to worship. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Serve the Lord with gladness and come into his presence. Although many of us recognize the need to be quiet in worship, this is not one of them, according to the psalmist. One commentator suggests that the initial work of the psalm, to make a joyful noise, in fact means to lift a cry of celebration, an acknowledgement of the victory and sovereignty of Yahweh. The noise is one of triumph, confidence, and joy. The other two imperatives of summons are matched by an invitation to serve with gladness and to enter his presence with singing, which suggests joyous, boisterous, celebrative worship. How many of us can really reflect on that and say, yes, that reflects my experience of worship? You see, the reason for this call to praise and worship are universal. God is to be worshipped for who God is. He is good. God is powerful. And God is also to be worshipped for what he has done for us and for our salvation. God is to be worshipped for his steadfast love. Professor Walter Brueggemann writes, praise is a duty and delight, the ultimate vocation of human community, indeed of all creation. Yes, all of life is aimed toward God and finally exists for the sake of God. Praise articulates and embodies our capacity to yield, to submit, and abandon ourselves in trust and gratitude to the one whose we are. We are the sheep of his pasture. The psalmist in verse 3 gives another threefold summons to worshippers: to enter with thanksgiving, to go into his courts with praise, and to call upon his name. One gets a sense that there are no spectators. We are all active participants. So what can we give God thanks for tonight? As we come to the end of this day, can we thank him for his protection, for his guidance, and for his sustaining grace? I am sure we can. Verse 3 is significant, especially in light of the commemoration of the feast of Christ the King. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. The images of shepherd and sheep portray a caring and loving God, to whom we are all connected and to whom we are all called to offer praise. But importantly, we are invited to demonstrate in our living the qualities of the Shepherd King, who will come in the final judgment and separate the sheep from the goats. In the same way that the shepherd cares for the sheep, we are to care for each other. And it is important for us to recognize that although the psalmist summons us to make a joyful noise, to enter his gates with praise, and to sing to him. We must leave the place of worship and enter the world to fulfill the mission God calls us to. So on this, the last Sunday and week of the church year, when we celebrate the feast of Christ the King, may we enter his courts with praise and thanksgiving, and may we go forward into the world with joy in our hearts, praise on our lips, to witness to the Lord who is Shepherd and King. And may we recognize, finally, that we are subjects of this King, and we offer him our praise and our worship, and we live like kingdom people with a sense of peace and joy and justice, not only for ourselves, but for all those whom we encounter. Have a good night, children of the King.